Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, few issues are more important and more convoluted than the competition over Oklahoma's water resources. While Oklahoma may have successfully blocked claims from a Texas water district, they are just one of many entities with their sights on a natural resource Oklahoma is blessed with, and lots of it, water. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in Career Tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, there may well be two sides to every story, but when it comes to Oklahoma water rights, there are definitely many more than that. With the recent Supreme Court ruling that a Texas water district has no legal claims to Oklahoma water, hope is what has been a murky issue will begin to clear up. But with the demand for southeastern Oklahoma's abundant water supplies as great as ever, the competition for them shows no sign of letting up soon.
It's hard to imagine now, after one of the harshest droughts on record, but Oklahoma has an overflowing abundance of water. Water that our dangerously dry neighbors to the south desperately need.
Fort Worth is the fastest growing city above 500,000 population in the country. Tarrant County is in the top 5 fastest growing counties in the country. So we've had tremendous population growth in this area.
Jim Oliver heads the Tarrant County Water District that stretches from below Dallas across Fort Worth and into North Texas, an area with more people than they have water.
There's no more water available in this part of the country. Dallas is developed, we've developed all the lakes, there's just nothing else available.
Starting in 2007, the Tarrant Regional Water District began a 6-year, $6 million legal battle trying to tap into Oklahoma's abundant water supplies, only to eventually lose in a unanimous decision in the U.S. Supreme Court. Yet, with a growing population with an unquenchable thirst, the Texas Water District says there are still, quote, solutions that benefit both Texas and Oklahoma.
We depend on this water. If we don't have this water, you can forget it. We're going back to Stone Age and start digging your wells and repairing your septic tanks, because that's where we'll be.
Oliver Jackson is the former mayor of small-town Clayton and says rural Oklahoma can't survive without the water urban Texas wants.
We're in a tight spot, very tight spot, and it's which way do you go? What do you do? What is the answer?
Jack Matthews is a former county commissioner and says he's concerned about the recreational impact any water sale to Texas could have on Oklahoma.
I don't know what the future's going to hold. I mean, who can sign a 100-year lease on this? I haven't met a man yet that can do that.
Matthews' concern is Texas would overuse the supply and then lower the lake level, which in turn would reduce the quality of the water and run off recreational tourists.
From what I understand down there, they want to play on their water and drink ours.
Yet, according to the Texas group, coming to an agreement over Oklahoma water would be good for both states.
There's a lot of people who live in Oklahoma, work here, shop here. There's a lot of people who recreate in Oklahoma and Texas, and if the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex does not grow because they don't have an adequate water supply, southern Oklahoma is going to suffer.
But any decision between the two states could well hinge on a separate Supreme Court decision more than a century old. The state and a pair of Oklahoma tribes are still squabbling whether the Chickasaw and Choctaw nations have legal rights to the water in their historic territories in southeastern Oklahoma. Neil McCaleb is with the Chickasaw Nation.
They're taking our water without asking us permission.
McCaleb says under what is commonly referred to as the Winters Doctrine, the Supreme Court ruled tribes' water rights exceeds those of others in times of water shortage.
Well, the issue is the decision to allocate or commit the water that's been contracted for by the Oklahoma Water Resources Board has been without consultation with the Chickasaw and Choctaw Nations, who feel that they have a superior and prior claim to the water.
Yet when the Apache tribe of Oklahoma went to federal court to sell water to Texas, they were unsuccessful.
Property right of the tribe, and they don't want it diminished. They've seen their estate and their properties diminished over the years because they did not assert their just and reasonable rights. So they want to do that. I don't want to say money is of no consequence, but that's not the driving force. That's not the driving interest. And as a matter of fact, the tribes are doing very well financially without selling any water.
Now, some caution that the more broadly tribes seek to assert their rights, the greater the risk that the federal courts will trim earlier rulings establishing Native American rights. Now, currently, both sides have been issued stays in a lawsuit filed in 2011 in an effort to negotiate a settlement rather than litigate one. When we return, a Red River rivalry that has nothing to do with football.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, in a state where agriculture and natural resources play such a vital role in Oklahoma's economy, a rivalry has developed along the Red River that's pitting the agricultural interests of southwest Oklahoma against those further east that depend upon tourism dollars for their economic livelihood. Russ Joel explains.
Southwest Oklahoma is an area known for its wide open spaces, tall mountains, and sweeping prairies. It's a region filled with natural beauty, but lacking an adequate water supply, something the locals know all too well.
We are in a very arid part of the state. Our average rainfall is somewhere around 24 inches. It's not adequate enough to grow a good, consistent, high-yielding crop.
Tom Buchanan is manager of the Lugert-Altus Irrigation District and says growers in the region must contend with scarce precipitation.
And then when you take into consideration that it's sporadic at best, we get our rainfalls in the spring and in the fall. During our growing season, it becomes extremely dry and hot and windy. We are very much dependent upon a source of irrigation water to have those consistent, high-yielding, high-quality crops. It's an absolute necessity.
A necessity that would seem most likely to be served by the most prominent water source in the area, the Red River. And while it does traverse the entire southwest quadrant of the state, most of its water is unfit to be used. David Braddock is with Altus Economic Development.
This area was an ancient sea, and the salt's collected, and there's a zone underneath the ground now that's just full of salt. And we have some springs along the western edge of Oklahoma. There's a spring that bubbles up through that salt formation. And thus, once the water gets to the surface, it's just full of salt. It's unusable for cattle, and it's unusable to irrigate out of or anything else, or for municipal purposes.
A conundrum for which David may have a solution.
If we can contain that, keep it in its own lake, kind of create a salt lake, then we'll be able to allow the good water to come on through, and possibly we can contain that and create a new water supply for agriculture, municipal, industrial. There's all types of possibilities.
A dream that may not be far from reality. The Army Corps of Engineers is currently looking at a proposal to construct a desalination plant in the area, providing clean, fresh water for the region.
And it really would provide us potentially water for the next 100 years. It would add to what we already have. We've done a pretty good job of collecting what we have in this area. This will just really expand the opportunity that we have to collect water from our region, a very dry region most of the time.
It's a winning scenario for Southwest Oklahoma. They get a clean, reliable source of water provided through federal funding. So what's the debate? Why are we talking about it? Who could possibly not want to bring good water to Southwest Oklahoma? For starters, fishermen. The Red River flows right into Lake Texoma, which is one of the top fisheries in the nation. Barry Bolton is Oklahoma's chief of fisheries and says the project could spell disaster for one of Oklahoma's natural treasures.
It has a very high price tag for wildlife and for Oklahoma taxpayers, and we believe that it needs to be revisited.
At issue is the very salt the proposed project would remove.
What happens is when you remove those chlorides from the system, you can increase the time that it takes for the turbidity to precipitate out. In layman's terms, what you're talking about is that you will have the lake staying turbid or muddy longer than it would otherwise.
As water from the river flows into the lake, it brings with it tons of mud and dirt particles, which cloud the lake. Under normal conditions, the salt that accompanies those particles actually clears the water in just a matter of days. But if the salinity levels are reduced, that process could take weeks instead of days, devastating the ecology of the lake.
When it takes weeks instead of days for the lake to clear up, what you end up with is a reduction in primary productivity, and that means that the fish will grow more slowly, that you will have fewer fish in that system as that lake stays muddy or turbid longer.
Which spells bad news for the burgeoning fishing industry in the area. Mike Warnham is one of the many striper guides on the lake and says an unfishable lake would mean economic disaster.
I think they've estimated it, the striper fishing tourism in this area, as far as this lake's concerned, is somewhere around anywhere from $50 to $60 million a year in revenue. And you take that out, and it would just decimate these three-county areas, both in Oklahoma and Texas.
This 2,000-acre, approximately, brine storage lake would, over time, eventually become a Dead Sea. You would have issues with salinity and with selenium that would impact both fish and wildlife. This obviously isn't a very good match for our mission as a Fish and Wildlife Agency in this state.
But the fact remains that Southwest Oklahoma is dependent on agriculture, which in turn is dependent on a consistent supply of clean water.
We have to develop a new water resource, a consistent water source in Southwest Oklahoma to allow our agrarian portion of our economy to grow. Because regardless of what people think about Southwest Oklahoma, if you live here or not, we are an extremely rich agriculture portion of the state. We will never be, in my opinion, a large metropolitan area. I'm not sure I want anybody else here. I love what I got and I'm not sure I want to share it. However, what we do need to capitalize on are our agriculture possibilities.
Spurring a rivalry between two regions in Oklahoma dependent on one river.
Now, the Corps of Engineers chloride control project that is causing the controversy is still years away in the making. But a similar project in Texas is now up and running and provides the drinking water for Wichita Falls.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, urban competition for rural water. But first, drying up in western Oklahoma.
Well, while record rainfall in central Oklahoma helped pull parts of the state out of a lingering drought, much of western Oklahoma is still dealing with its aftermath, which is where our Andy Barth picks up the story.
Rob, the drought that started in 2011 hit the entire state hard, including our water supplies. Now, as you can see here in this picture taken in February, the water levels are so low that the boats in the Lake Hefner Marina in Oklahoma City are resting in mud. Now, fast forward to June of this year. This is the exact same location and a completely different story, thanks to some heavy rains and a water release from a reservoir up north. So while Lake Hefner is fully functional again, it does come at a cost. It's a sound not heard much around here. A restaurant that used to be a booming business now serves only a handful of customers a day. The reason? Low water levels on Canton Lake.
It's cut everything about 60%.
Alan Cox owns the Overlook restaurant that sits right next to the lake and says not only is the water level low, but so is the recreation.
In the past, we'd go through 5 or 6 gallons a minute a weekend. We go through a gallon.
And Cox says something needs to be done to keep recreation alive.
We need that recreational value put on the lake so we can maintain a level to keep recreation alive and going good.
And for Canton Lake Association's Mark Fuquay, the lake offers more than recreation.
By far, it's the largest economic driver of our area.
With parking lots empty and campsites desolate, Fuquay says money is lost every day.
The Corps of Engineers did a study that within a 30-mile radius, some $20 million were spent on lake growers yearly here. When you lose that, it definitely has an adverse effect on your economy and the people here.
Aside from recreation, Canton Lake is used for municipalities. Oklahoma City owns rights to the water and has drawn 30,000 acre-feet of water 3 times in the last 2 years.
They took the last 30,000 acre-feet that they took, really knocked this lake down tremendously and put it in grave danger of a total fish kill.
A problem that may not recover for years.
It could take up to 10 years for the fish to come back, if we get a total fish kill this year, to come back to a healthy level like it is now.
And for Oklahoma City, what was once bone dry now is underwater.
Their lakes are now, they've got the rain that we thought they would get, and we've not received any rain. So we're in a terrible shape, the lake is. Had they waited another month, this whole scenario wouldn't even be happening right now.
And Fuquay says the lake can't take much more.
We're down 13 feet. We don't have much more to go. Our average depth out there right now is probably around 6 feet, or 7 feet. And so we don't have a lot more to go down. So the algae's turning over, the wind's going to sweep it, and we'll suffer another 6 feet of evaporation this summer.
All the more reason for rain in western Oklahoma.
We just need the water.
Well, Andy, I am struck that when it comes to water here in the state, there are definitely the haves and then the have-nots.
Rob, that is very true. For example, the water that was released during the first 2 weeks of May from the 7 major lakes in southeastern Oklahoma would have been able to fill the 7 lakes in southwestern Oklahoma, even if those lakes were bone dry.
And again, this is excess water that's flowing over the dam and then out of state.
Exactly.
So what's going to happen with Canton Lake from here?
Well, Rob, while it may take years for Canton Lake to fully recover, there is a push to give rural areas more of a say on Oklahoma's water use. Governor Mary Fallin signed Senate Bill 965 into law this legislative session, a move greeted by Oklahoma's agricultural community as welcome relief. A few months ago, much of Oklahoma was as dry as the Sahara Desert. Now parts of the state recovering from flood damage, all tying back to one common denominator: water.
We're talking about abundances of water in certain parts of the state that needs to be redistributed to other parts.
Before the new law, appointments to the State Water Resources Board were chosen from Oklahoma's 5 congressional districts. Now, each region of the state is represented equally. There will be 9 regions across the state, with each region having 1 representative. Mike Spradling is the president of the Oklahoma Farm Bureau and says this gives rural Oklahoma more of a voice in water decisions.
You know, it's going to be more fair and equal representation on the board. We've got many places in the state of Oklahoma, such as the Northwest, use a lot of the utilization of water, but they have no representation. The Southeast has the water, but they don't have any representation either.
And J.D. Strong, who is the Oklahoma Water Resources Board Executive Director, says either way, water is vital for Oklahoma's survival.
Water is a precious and valuable resource, and when we run out of it, or run short of it, everything else grinds to a halt. And there is no economic development, there is no recreation, there is no well-being.
And Strong says while the rains came down in much of Oklahoma, the state is not yet in the clear.
Western Oklahoma, people need to remember, is still in pretty significant drought, especially the Panhandle and far southwest Oklahoma. So just because we've had record rainfall here in central Oklahoma, where maybe the majority of the population lives, doesn't by any means mean that Oklahoma is out of the grips of drought.
Which is why Spradling says water is vital for Oklahoma agriculture.
Oklahoma certainly is an agriculture state. It's very important that we produce food and fiber in the state of Oklahoma. That's why it's so important that we take a look at the entire state, not just the metro areas.
And Spradling believes a plan needs to be made to transfer water statewide.
We can't take a chance to just sit here and play defense. I think we need to get offense going and look at ways that we can move the water from where it is to where it's needed, and certainly not to deplete those areas where they have it now. Certainly they have it, and I think they're entitled to the first shot at it, but there is a lot of surplus leaving the state of Oklahoma.
A surplus desired by everyone. Well, now the law is set to go into effect July 1 of 2014, and while the agricultural community is happy about the change, not everyone shares their enthusiasm. Earlier, I sat down with Oklahoma City Mayor Mick Cornett to get his thoughts on Oklahoma's water future. Mr. Mayor, let's talk water. In the past 5 years, how has Oklahoma City, how has its water usage changed?
You know, I think the water use has been pretty similar from one year to the next. What's happened is, even though we've had population increases, I think the use of technology and more water efficient appliances has helped us. I'd like to think kids aren't taking shorter baths or fewer baths, but maybe that's part of it too. But we have pushed 200 million gallons a day, and we continually get other municipalities that want to be a part of our water system, and we do think that's a fairly efficient use for the entire metro. So, but in general, I think there's been some technology advances that help everybody be a little more conservant on their water use.
Certainly. Looking forward, Oklahoma City is officially out of the drought. Lake Hefner's up to normal levels now. What future plans are being put into place for water usage?
Well, long term, the city has acquired the storage rights to Lake Sardis in southeast Oklahoma City. And long term, the Oklahoma City Water Utility Trust, which kind of controls and operates water for Metro Oklahoma City, would like to build an additional water line that connects the Lake Atoka area with Oklahoma City. Right now, we have been surviving and thriving on about a 50-year investment that our previous generation made to making sure that the metro had plenty of water. And if we're going to take care of the people that live in this state in the second half of the 21st century, we're going to need to build another water line. And so we're already taking steps to try and ensure the funding of that. And eventually that'll happen. It'll probably happen in our lifetime. I don't know if our working lifetime, but it'll probably happen in our lifetime.
Governor Fallin signed Senate Bill 965, which gives more representation across the state for water. What is that going to do to the city's water use?
Well, it may have minimal impact short term, but long term, great repercussions could come of that. And as we continue to look for storage rights and water usage rights, you never really know how that will play out. So the test will be, not necessarily with this governor, but future governors. And I think the citizens of Oklahoma City have the potential for being shortchanged. And the same could be said for the citizens of Tulsa. And that's depressing. And one of the things it highlights is the continual growing, apparently, animosity between rural and urban legislators at the state capitol. A lot of people, seem to concentrate on Republicans versus Democrats, and sometimes I think Republicans versus Republicans is even a bigger chasm. But the urban-rural divide is disappointing too. I think it's unnecessary. We live in a very partisan or nonpartisan environment at city halls, and that's usually the case in city after city and town after town. And so for a municipal leader, regardless of the size, to look at the state legislature and see them divide up and develop the petty side-by-side casting is not something I think is in the best interest of the state. Oklahoma City and Tulsa are driving the state's economy, and that needs to be recognized by both urban and rural legislators. And I think we act responsibly, and I hope the rural municipalities and rural residents would do so as well.
All right, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
You bet.
Well, now the mayor says the city hopes to acquire more lakes in order to fill Oklahoma City's growing water needs.
Certainly a complex issue with lots of sides. Thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
You can keep up with us throughout the week. Just head to okhorizon.com, where you can see more of any of our stories, read our reporters' behind-the-scenes blogs, see what others are saying about us on Twitter, and face the facts with our regular updates. So reach out and touch us anywhere and anytime.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, differing views on income inequality.
Higher income Americans and Oklahomans need to realize that it's in their best interest to have a strong middle class.
To me, if you care about what really matters, which is, can you still make it today in America if you work hard? Income inequality has nothing to do with that.
Income inequality. Well, an Oklahoma show over the heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, as we said at the start of today's show, few issues are more murky and even more convoluted than the ongoing debate over Oklahoma water. It's a keen competition, not just between just states, but tribal interests, cities, sportsmen, even agriculture. But I'm reminded of what an accountant told me once years ago, that rather than complain about my taxes, be thankful for my taxable income. Not bad advice when it comes to our water resources either. At least we have something to argue about. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.